Hello and welcome to 10 Minute Takes. This is where we give you the rating first, then we discuss what we liked and didn't like about the film. Our rating system is as follows. It is either a see it, wait for it, or a pass it. Today's episode is Hellfest. Ready to rate this one?
Mm-hmm.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Pass it.
Yeah, this movie was not good.
It's pretty bad.
So Hellfest tells the story of a group of kids that meet up around Halloween time. They're college students, and they go to a haunted house festival called Hellfest. And when they arrive at this festival, they are stalked and they start to be murdered by someone that enters the park that dons the mask of the people that work there. And that is essentially our story. Now, before we get into the things that we didn't like about this film, it does have some merits, and we can go through some of those. And one of the things I actually did like about the film is that it visually looks cool. It's a cool looking film. It's a great premise.
Yeah, I guess this is your territory of likeness.
Yeah, it's haunted house culture, and haunted house culture is, I've always found it fascinating to be in. I like going to Six Flags Fright Fest, Universal Studios, the haunted house thing that they do every year is really cool. And it's an awesome premise to actually have a horror film that takes place in one of these theme parks. The cinematography is really nice. It's really nice use of color. But outside of that, there wasn't much else about this film that I actually liked.
The friend with the short hair,
mm-hmm.
and her and her boyfriend had a good duo, and they were funny. That was they had quirky moments.
They were good.
But those are the only two characters in the film that I enjoyed watching, and that's the only thing that I felt that was good.
You're talking about the one with the short hair, right?
Yeah, there was short hair. She had like blue tips or something.
Yeah.
And she was just quirky and fun. Like,
mm-hmm.
I want her to be my friend. Like, she was just funny.
Yeah.
And she really enjoyed going through all the haunted houses, as you should be when you go in. The other one seemed a little too terrified going through the haunted houses. But she was my favorite part. She was my favorite person to watch. And that's the one thing that I liked about the film, was her character.
Yeah, I agree. Outside of those two characters, every other character it's not that they were unlikable.
They just didn't bring anything to it.
It's not just that. I think now we're going to get into the territory of the things that
I have a list.
We disliked about the film. And just straight off the bat, the film opens with another haunted house segment before we meet the main characters. And it just came off as goofy. Like the opening kill.
I guess, yeah.
The first couple of kills in the film, even outside of the intro, the first couple of kills in the film just come off as like cartoonish. Like people are getting murdered and they're like, ugh. Oh. And it's like a cartoon death. I felt like I was watching like a Saturday morning like cartoon Looney Tunes, someone like being killed on screen, like Bugs Bunny was faking being killed. Is he gone?
My God. Oh, that's great.
That's like what I got from the first couple of kills. Like this one girl gets murdered in front of another girl. She's like, help me. This is like, she's not even like trying to fight. And then like the guy looks at the other girl.
And the girl just like stands there like.
And then like he stabs the other girl in the chest and she goes, ugh. I was like waiting for her like poke her eye open. Like, does he believe me?
Does he believe me?
Is he gone? Does he believe I'm dead? And it took me the moment was supposed to be terrifying, and it just came off as so goofy to me.
It wasn't terrifying to me because the girl didn't react. She just was watching this happen, and then she stood there and walked away and was like, guys, that was terrifying. Like, she had to explain how she felt. We should have been able to see how she felt.
Yeah, her reaction when she's actually watching is like, oh, this is a really weird show, even though I know this is probably the guy that's stalking me. And when she goes out, she goes, guys, I think this is really happening. It wasn't, to me, it was a massive disconnect with that particular segment, and that's pretty consistent in the film. The other thing, the dialogue's really hammy. I never believed that these were really like real people, outside of the one character that you mentioned that you had a lot of fun with.
I felt watching the group that I felt like I was watching a bunch of teenagers hanging out on a Friday night.
Yeah.
And they were just Yeah, but in, like, not a good way. You were just watching kids hang out. There was no build to any of the suspenses. I didn't believe any of the suspenseful moments because the music was lacking, and it didn't give me that thrill that I get with the combination of scary movies and music. That's where I get my scares from, is that music and the combination of the thrills. Watching these friends just hang out and then random moments are supposed to be scary, it didn't do anything for me because the music was quiet and it just wasn't there for me.
I'll say
that's a big deal for me.
I actually liked the music, but I didn't like the music in the sense that it was like horror music. The guy that did compose the score for this did the score for the video game God of War. Bear McQuarrie is the guy, and what he brings to the table with this is that I like the theme he had for like the killer. It's like when you see the killer and like the killer moves in slow motion, it goes so slow motion, you get to like vroom, vroom, sort of like sound effect, but it's not scary. I thought it was kind of cool, but yeah, the music itself didn't lend itself to the suspense and the horror of the film. I felt
maybe that's what it was. Maybe it wasn't that I didn't like the music. It was just that it didn't go with the what was happening in the film, and it didn't build up the suspense that I needed for these moments to be scary.
Yeah, the one thing I will say, I know we were harping on some of the kills being cartoony. Some of the last couple of kills, or at least there's one particular kill that I actually like made me squirm a little bit, and that was with one of like the boyfriend characters.
Yeah, I will say, but that was the only
ruin
one.
It was the one good part of the movie where it was like, oh man, that was rough to watch. Whereas everything, it was like the first time where I didn't feel like I was watching a cartoon play out with these deaths. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time where I was like, I got squeamish. I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But outside of that one kill, so I will give the film credit for that one particular sequence because it's not that I enjoyed it, but it was far better than all of the other ones.
I think the thing that really didn't do it for me actually was you said in the beginning that you really enjoyed. I did not like. I didn't like that it was set in the festival scene because all of the characters that were in the festival are things that we see when we go to Six Flags, when we go to Universal Studios. Yeah. I didn't need to see that in a film. Going in, and because all the characters where they have the saw and the saw sounds and all of these things, I really enjoy when I'm in that type of festival. I didn't need to watch it.
Yeah,
I felt like this was an hour and a half advertisement for Six Flags Fright Fest.
Yeah, and that's another complaint that I've heard from other people that I've read that watched this. It said, this movie just hammers home the point that it's fun to go to a haunted house, but it's not fun to watch people in a haunted house.
Like watching somebody go through a haunted house and going through a maze just isn't appealing, and that's where it lost me. And it was fine in the beginning because they weren't going through the mazes, but then once it started being all about inside of the mazes, I was like, okay, so obviously there's not a lot of places that the killer is going to be popping out of. He's going to be popping out soon. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where that lack of suspense came in, was because when you're in a haunted house that there's only a certain amount of places that people are going to be jumping out at you.
All right, so we're going to be wrapping this up. So what are your final thoughts here?
I want to go to Six Flags Fright Fest now, or Universal Studios. That's what I want to do. You have to make that happen.
We'll do. We're going. My final thoughts is that had the film had played more on the gruesome side of some of the kills that we got, it probably would have been better. But ultimately, I felt like the dialogue was too hammy. Kills weren't too... It just felt like I was watching too much like a Looney Tunes Saturday morning cartoon with some of these kills, and it really took me out of the film, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. So this is the film I was rooting for. Didn't do it for me. That's it for this episode of 10 Minute Takes. Thank you for watching. We've got Smallfoot we are doing next, so stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. Thanks for watching.